Thank you, fellow Zionists, for joining Jewish National Fund USA's weekly briefing. I am Saul Lisbrand, president of Jewish National Fund USA. We thank you, as always, for your continued engagement and commitment to keeping the land and people of Israel at the forefront of your mind. This week, Israel's Prime Minister will address a joint meeting of Congress. 88 Olympian athletes from the Israeli delegation arrive in Paris, and still 120 hostages remain in captivity in Gaza as we approach 300 days of war. Specifically, today marks day 292 of captivity for the hostages and the war in Israel. We must be strong and continue to highlight the plight of our family and friends in Israel, to resolutely fight for the triumph of light over darkness, tolerance over intolerance, and we must proudly celebrate the achievements of our Israeli athletes as they take the world stage with heavy hearts but resilient spirit, as the victories are for all of Am Yisrael. Our first guest today is Emily Austin. Emily is an American sports TV personality, broadcaster, social media influencer, and pro-Israel advocate. She began her career interviewing NBA players and athletes on her show, The Hoop Chat, and went on to serve as an MTV anchor and Miss Universe judge. Emily also owns a skincare company, People's Beauty. With over 2.2 million followers on Instagram, she is an outspoken advocate against anti-Semitism and vocal supporter of Israel. She regularly appears on the news, talk shows, and speaks to groups globally about Israel and Zionism. Emily, thank you all for all you do and for joining us today. Emily?
Thank you. What a nice introduction. Hi, everyone. If you know who I am, that's amazing. If you don't, nice to meet you all. My story is not necessarily a traditional one, nor is it this big hype of, the beautiful side of advocacy that everyone pretends it is. But I really just genuinely think I'm your average New York, Long Island Jew who, like everyone else on the Zoom, was appalled by what's taken effect after October 7th. But I think my story begins before then. I grew up in Long Island as what I call a complacent Jew, meaning I grew up in a Jewish home. We kept kosher. We didn't necessarily keep Shabbat, although we knew the importance of Shabbat. I went to public school in which if you were not Jewish, cool, no one cared. And if you were Jewish, awesome. And then my parents said, you know what, we're sending you to yeshiva for high school. And then I went to North Shore Hebrew Academy, where I learned the importance of Torah, not Israel, but Torah. Now, growing up, there was never a conflict with being a Zionist. It was just different times. I'm 23 years old, I'll add that. So I'm still pretty young, but like throughout my childhood and teen years, it was never this polarizing to be a Zionist. In fact, I never even heard the term Zionist in a derogatory term until the more recent years. So with that being said, I never fought for Israel or my right of existence as a Jewish person in the United States because I never felt that I had to. It was live and let live, and it was beautiful. Now, what I noticed in the rise of Black Lives Matter was, for some reason, this animosity towards Israel, because at the same time as Black Lives Matter, for those who remember, there was also rockets being exchanged back and forth from Gaza and Israel. And that was the first war I can say I was old enough to remember. Of course, there was one in 2014. I was 13 years old. I did not have a say in anything. But this one I remember vividly because I posted something very innocent on my not as big at the time social media page, which was a cupcake with an Israel flag. And I wrote Chag Sameach, hope everyone's having like an awesome Yom HaAtzmaut. And that was that. Little did I know, my favorite NBA player in the entire world would write on my Instagram story, wow, I can't believe you're a Zionist. Now, my naive self is thinking it's a great thing. And I wrote, haha, yeah. And he wrote, not something to be proud of, in which at that point I realized something was wrong. Now I'm going to go back to high school for a minute. I had my strong core and pride in being a Jewish student. but I learned nothing about Israel. If you asked me what year Israel was established 2 years ago, I would not have the slightest clue. And I didn't see a problem with that, which was the worst part. So now I'm given this bigger platform. You know, you mentioned earlier, I have 2.3 million followers now. And with that, I believe comes a responsibility that if you're going to go out there and be a proud Jewish person, you should know about your ancestry and your belonging and the state of Israel. And that's something that was never brought up to me, and it was never a priority, and it was never taught to me. Another part of me grew up gaslit into thinking that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are not the same thing, and that there's a big difference in the two, and you can be anti-Israel and not be against the Jewish people. And I actually was okay with that for a long time, because as a big believer in free speech, I was like, you have the right to criticize Israel, and it's not personal to the Jews. I was wrong. And now, after October 7th, which is a different beast we're battling, I see that anti-Zionism was merely a mask to justify anti-Semitism and Jew hatred. So now let's fast forward to October 7th. I had more of a sense of what it meant for Israel to exist and how important it was, not only for the Jewish people, but for international diplomacy, why Israel is so important. But I didn't have the actual knowledge, and I didn't have the courage to be able to go out there and battle like I needed to. None of us asked for this. None of us wanted to be here. And none of these Jewish influencers who are defending Israel, truthfully, none of us want to be doing this, because we shouldn't have to be justifying why Israel has a right to exist. But we are where we are, and we need to be resourceful where we can. I wish I could write a check for $10 million and go send it to the IDF, but unfortunately, that's not where I am right now. Maybe one day. But I do know where my strength is, and that's using my voice. And I realized I had a big problem then. I really just did not know the basic facts, and I didn't feel confident enough to debate. Now, many people saw me on Piers Morgan debating a very vile, disgusting human being named Nardine Kiswani. She's the owner of a pro-Palestinian group called Within Our Lifetime. Just to refresh your memories, they protested outside of a cancer hospital. They tried to burn down the Rockefeller tree. They chanted outside of the Nova exhibition in Manhattan, saying that we partied on gas chamber land, so we deserved what happened to us, and a million more vile things I could name. When I found out that I was debating this woman, I immediately panicked. I said, I'm not going to let my people down. I'm not going to make us look stupid. So I called Russell Robinson and I said, tell me everything about Israel. And he said, it's more than something you can just tell someone. We need to show you. And then I begun literal history lessons of Israel. I learned about all the wars and how British Mandate Palestine doesn't mean it was actually Palestine, and literally Israel for dummies. And I was taking notes and notes and notes. Now, for those who watched the debate, we obliterated her, woohoo. But that was just step one of this very long journey and battle that we're all still fighting. I think it's really important for every single Jewish person to educate themselves on the history of Israel, because it's not only having a platform that enables the change. Obviously, it's easier when you could speak to a million minds with one post, but I've noticed that the biggest changes I've made were more behind the scenes. Think of it like this. If you have a colleague or a friend that's allegedly, I don't know, doesn't know the facts or wants to be ignorant about the facts or just really heard the wrong information, everyone doesn't understand that you have the power to change one person's mind. But if you change that one person's mind and they speak to two people and their two friends speak to four and the four speaks to eight, you're changing the world by doing that. And the problem is that everyone feels like it's not their job or it's not their responsibility, or, well, I don't know enough. Well, that's on you, because you can learn the information if you just spend 15 minutes doing so. And what I also didn't realize, and I'm not just saying this because JNF is on here, but you have so many resources that can teach you the facts. Now, where I'm really privileged is my most recent trip to Israel after October 7th was less about visiting the kibbutzim and visiting the hostage families, which I did in December, but more about really seeing for myself what the history of Israel was. In my life, I never thought I'd have an opportunity to see Abraham's well. I mean, I didn't feel even worthy to be there. Like, why do I deserve to even see this? So when I went on this trip, for the first time in my life, I was given a huge map, literally the size probably of this wall behind me, that was trailing the journey that Abraham made into Israel, why he built the well where he did, where he left Isaac, where he left Ishmael, where he said goodbye to Hagar. And I'm watching history unfold before my eyes. Now, why is that so important for me to see? Because everyone's number one argument against Israel is that we weren't there. We were welcomed after the Holocaust, and look how you're treating the ones who opened up their arms for you, and look how you're thanking them for their hospitality. And they will completely deny our history in the land of Israel, despite all of the archaeology being there. They say that it's planted. That's just a battle you're not going to win. But for the first time, I was allowed to see in front of my eyes why we were there, why we deserve to be here, and why we will always be there. And now, as somebody with a platform, it's super important that not only I see this, but when you go there, it's a lot different than just telling people. I always say you have to show, not tell. Use images, use imagery, videos, maps. You need to speak logic and facts, and you need to show people. Because when I speak, what do I hear? Oh, well, you're this Jewish, white, privileged Long Island girl. We don't trust your opinion. And I immediately get invalidated. So for me to be able to go to Beersheba is just one example of our history tying back to Israel. When I posted that on Instagram, I am telling you right now, there was not one person that could refute my claim. Not one. On a normal day, anything I post, they will find a way to dispute what I'm saying. This post, I had so many NBA players, because they're all Christians, so I think that they're Zionists, message me, wow, I need to see that for myself. I didn't know Abraham's well was in Israel. Just a lot of ignorance going around. So I realized then that this is super important. So for the rest of my trip, I realized that this show don't tell method works. Now, the hardest part about it, I mean, we've all seen horrific videos and just horrible pictures, is when, I don't know if I'm going to get anyone in trouble for saying this, but I really wanted to show the world that aid trucks are entering into Gaza, because that's the number one, global outrage right now, is we're starving them to death. And again, apologies if anyone gets in trouble for this. I asked the IDF to take me, and they said no. I'm not going to name names, but I went with 2 folks from JNF to the crossing into Gaza from Egypt. Literally, you hear bullets being shot from Rafah, and there's literal rockets being sent back and forth, and the booms made me nearly deaf. And I run out of the van, and I handed my phone to them, and I said, record me right now. And you could barely hear over the gunfire, but you see in my video that the trucks are crossing into Rafah. Now, imagine everyone's surprise when I just disputed all these lies you've been sharing in the media. Again, silence. Now, when it comes to Israel, for me, silence is a good thing, because if it's not silence, it's usually some vile misinformation and rhetoric being spread. And the fact that the IDF couldn't give me the clearance to go there, but 2 folks from JNF brought me there. I keep saying it as a joke, like I owe you for the rest of my life, but truly, like, they really just did such a big favor for me in terms of my hasbara. I can tell you 1,000,000 times that there's food going in. Nobody believes me. But what can you say when I put my boots on the ground and I'm showing you that I'm there and there are trucks going in? It's just something that I was very privileged to do. And it's really something, I don't know if this is like a normal JNF thing, if you get to go there, but if you do get a chance to go to Israel and see all of these sites and really show the world, and I don't care if you think you don't have a voice, you do. Even if you changed one person's mind, you did your job. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about, which I'm very thankful for all of you for. Another thing is something really important to me is I'm a sports broadcaster, and I really feel like sports ultimately will bring the world together in a very nice way that nothing else can do besides team sports. So when JNF took me to Beersheba, and this was a very sad sight to see, and something I also shared on my social media, they're building right now sports complexes, because Beersheba is a lot of just empty, unattractive land. But JNF had this vision that it could turn into this beautiful place. They built parks and sports facilities. And after October 7th, there's a gorgeous soccer field. So I posted a video, look, I'm playing soccer, everyone. And then the camera pans up and you see that there are literal poles knocked down from missiles. The roof was burnt to ashes. There's a gap in the ground as if a meteor had hit from rockets. So the video kind of twisted from, look, Emily's playing soccer, to like, whoa, imagine Emily was playing soccer and these rockets start hitting. And for me, being a sports person, I think it spoke volumes to everyone in my audience, because that could have been you. That could have been you playing soccer, could have been you playing basketball, and then what did you deserve a rocket to hit your head for being a sports fan? So my point is there's a lot of initiatives that are super important to see. And if there's one point I want to emphasize and then maybe go into questions, if any of you guys have them, you could type them in the chat, is don't think it's not your job to speak up. And if you don't know where to start, again, I'm not saying this because it's a JNF Zoom. Everything that I've learned, everything I was taught, everything I've seen, everything I speak on TV, whether it's Fox News or CNN or on my social media, there's always a resource to learn from. And JNF has provided me with so much education, so much education. Literally at any time of the day, if I have a dispute with somebody from the Middle East, I'll call JNF. Hey, they said that we're attacking Iran unjustly. What do I say? I'll get an answer in 2 minutes. So thank you to JNF for that, for helping me amplify Hasbara to the world that we shouldn't have to do in the first place. But I'm very grateful to be able to do so. And I'm grateful that I have a platform to be able to use. And whether you have one or not, it's all of our jobs to speak out. So thanks.
So Emily, first of all, thank you so much for all you do. And you scored a lot of 3-pointers with the JNF today. I can tell you that. But what you just said, if anything positive is to come out of October 7th, is that more people now and in the future will know the history of Israel and Zionism, because October 7th created this need for education, just like you got. So, again, thank you for all you do. One of the questions, and then we will move on to keep on our time. Do you speak in high schools, and how can we reach you? So give a little plug here, Emily.
Okay. I'll give you all my work email. It's pretty simple. It's Emily Austin, like as a Texas, Austin, work@gmail.com. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. I've spoken to a lot of high schools, ironically enough, about the history of Israel, because after I debated on Pierce Morgan, I had it's called a shiur with JNF, and I wrote the most brilliant notes. It's called Israel for Dummies on my iPhone. And it's just teaching everything about the history of Israel in the most simplistic terms possible. And now I use that cheat sheet when I speak in high schools and debates, because it's just fact after fact. And I got it on a short Zoom with JNF. So thanks.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much, Emily. We can't wait to see you in person at our global conference for Israel, November 14th to 17th in Dallas, Texas. And our next guest today is Nathan Hoffman. Nathan is the CEO of the Galilee Culinary Institute by JNF, located on the eastern side of the Galilee in the greater Kiryat Shimona area. He's responsible for the strategic leadership and oversight of the Institute's operational and change management processes. Nathan started his Jewish National Fund journey by helping to start the Arizona JNF Future Chapter, our young professional division. In 2017, he made Aliyah with Nefesh B'Nefesh, another Jewish National Fund USA affiliate, with his wife, Tzvat, and settled in northern Israel. Nathan has over 18 years of diverse experience leading business operations for both startups and established organizations. Nathan, thank you so much for joining us today and providing us an update on the work of GCI in the North during this time of war. Nathan?
Thank you, Saul. I don't know if I would have signed up if I knew I was going after her. That was a pretty amazing talk and very inspirational. So hi everyone. If you hear any noise, it's just the kids. It's nothing else. At this point, it's been quiet the last few days, but I want to give a quick update on the GCI and what's happening here in the North, and leave a few minutes for questions. First, I just want to say we've been very blessed to be able to be moving forward. I want to give you just a few shots from today. Actually, I was on site today. For those that don't know, this is what it will look like in the future when we have everything together, the GCI. But a few shots from actually today. I went today on site, met with some groups and a few people just to see the progress. We've been very fortunate to be moving forward. For all those that don't know, the North is been constantly under fire since the beginning of the war as well. I think a lot of you know, people have been evacuated from their homes for now 9 months plus, and we don't know when it's going to change. But we've been very fortunate, as you see here. Like they're putting up the ceramic tiles in the kitchens. I mean, these things have been moving forward, and we've been so blessed and fortunate to continually move things on the construction front. Whereas so many businesses and people are unable to do anything. So I just want to reiterate that this is very unusual to be able to do the work, and I'm going to take my hat off to JNF and the team with Alone. Really, the work that everyone's done to keep pushing things forward, as what he's also doing in the medical facility, the medical center. There are literally rockets every day, and people are putting their lives at risk to do this. And it's a huge testament to everyone's vision of what's to come. Here are our dorm rooms, by the way, also making great progress. These will be done, God willing, before the Chagim. These are two different pictures of the room, so you can see a little different angles. But really amazing, beautiful rooms, and something that's going to be extremely special when you guys see the place and all the work that has been done. Really, it's a magical place. So Gary, that was it. I just wanted to give a few shots of what I took today and some of the photos. But just to give an update on the construction, things are moving forward. Like I said, we're tiling the walls, the kitchens, the classrooms. The flooring is being worked on. We already did all the concrete. We have, as those don't know or do know, we have a farm. We took our soil samples. We're going to be working with Migal, the research institute here in the north. We also will be working with Tel Chai, and also they just became or will become a university, which is great news for us in the north. Equipment is arriving, so we have equipment already on site. Woodwork is being completed to suppliers. So, again, very fortunate to be moving these things forward during this difficult time. And our goal is just to do what we can while we can. So, for example, the curriculum is looking amazing. We're 70-80% done with that, and really just fine tuning things, which is, again, amazing to be doing this during this time. We have hiring prospects in the pipeline, identifying key personnel, students, which is also an amazing thing here, want to come. There's no issues with what's going on in the north. Everyone we're speaking to that want to make the GCI their home for their education and for learning. Everyone's just like, please tell us when we're open, when you're going to be moving forward. They want to be in. And so it's really a unique testament, obviously, to the Jewish people on the strength of wanting to come to the north during such a difficult time. And also, we're getting amazing candidates for the flagship program. We're accepting students during this time, which again is very unique. We're working on the different boards that we want to have in place before opening. Great partnerships are being formed, like I said, with Tel Chai and Migal. And today I met with some different restaurants and food truck entrepreneurs in the north. I met with them today. So it's a really great meeting. They love what we're doing. They really love all the things that we've thought through. So again, things are just moving forward as much as we can, selecting furniture. And so I know, as usual, the big question is, when are we going to open? That's the big question for everyone, including myself. But the good news is things are moving forward, like I said, at a good pace. The timing, Gonen was not evacuated. It's very close to the border. I think it's 11 kilometers from the border. But half of the people have left. Half the people stayed. The hotel there is closed, is not allowed to be operated because of what's going on currently in the north. So it's a difficult time, and we can't predict what is going to happen. But we decided as a team that September, middle of September, is when we want to make a decision. We know there are some things we could do with the institute and starting the students earlier. We want to get them in as early as we can. So we talked about doing stuff at a third-party location if we need to, starting some stuff online, which we already wanted to be doing. So, we all have the same concern and questions and trying to figure out what's going to be the best time. But we decided that September is the time that we really want to really make the best educated decision we can make. Because previously we made a decision, I think November of last year after October 7th, that we wanted to start November. But obviously no one could have predicted that the war would be going on still and intensifying here in the north as well. So, you know, a lot's happening. Any questions you guys have, I'm happy to take the questions now. And also, as I'm sure everyone knows or doesn't know, but Cheryl Buchholz is the chair of our GCI task force. And if you ever need anything, she's also here to help. And it's been amazing up to now. And everyone part of our team has really been a huge part of this and making this happen. So I just want to thank you guys all, JNF and everyone, you know, all the donors and partners, affiliates, everyone. It takes a huge operation. And for those that haven't seen what Russell put together and the team put together on the Reimagine Go North plan, you should take a look. Really great work being done. And so many people would leave the area just because they're like, okay, I'm not here to invest any longer, and it's a lost cause. But the beauty is, JF is along with the ride and willing to make it work and build the North together. So it's really a special thing and a special time, even during obviously a hard time in our history.
So Nathan, maybe you could just mention the diversity of the applicants that you got from different countries, because I don't think many people know that.
Yeah, I mean, all over Brazil, Chile, England. Actually, we had someone from Egypt. Really, it's been amazing. People looking to figure out how they can come to school here, because what we're doing, and I saw the question about the curriculum, we're just doing things. We've asked the question, what do the students need most? That was how we approached the institute. What do they need the most? What will help them succeed? So we do things very differently. For example, the first thing that we do, instead of starting in the kitchen, we're starting on the farm. Starting about where the food comes from, why we're doing what we're doing, why we're doing regenerative practices, with our farming. There's all these different aspects, and we really we give people the foundation to ensure what they get into in terms of the learning is based on what they're really passionate about, and we give them the tools to be successful. It's a much longer story, the curriculum and what we've done, but the person who's helping us with this curriculum is absolutely stunning. Her name's Lonnie. She will, God willing, also be at the conference, and we'll be talking about more of the curriculum, but she helped put this together. She's from the CIA of America, was a top person there, which is the Culinary Institute of America, not the CIA, the other CIA. But she was there for a long time and really saw the ins and outs and really saw a lot of the holes in what they were doing and in how we created this program. So very unique, and people from all over the world. And yeah, I mean, like I said, we're still getting applicants, even more so than before. And this is even without, hiring our full team. There's a lot still to do, but people see the impact of what we're doing, and you can see a lot about our curriculum on our site, Galilee Culinary Institute.com, and you can learn a lot about it. But again, I'm happy to share information with you. If you want to send me an email, I can send you more on the curriculum.
And just one more question, Nathan. How is the length of your program compared to other culinary institutes in the U.S. or maybe in other parts of the world?
Yeah, so that was one of the big determining pieces of what we were going to do with our curriculum, because what we realized is most curriculums are 2 to 4 years, and what we've learned in the culinary world, 2 to 4 years is too long. So what we wanted to do and condense it into one very solid 12-month period. 6 months we call discover, figuring out what you want to do before you do it. Next 3 months, engage, getting in an area or two. And the last 3 months is a final project based on the area that you want to get into. And so we saw a lot of the issues with it when it comes to like 2-year programs, people dropping out for the first year. They can't afford a longer year. They can't afford another year. And so what we're doing is really condensing the program so that people that are really motivated and want to be successful in culinary can spend only a year or 12 months, really intense program, fully submersed in culinary education, as opposed to trying to draw it out longer than it needs to be. So it is something very unique in what we're doing. Like I said, most programs are a lot longer, but the education and the time and hours that the students will be working will be comparative to easily to the 2-year programs.
Okay, great. Well, Nathan, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in person, and to learn more on the impact you're having on the ground, visit jnf.org/support Israel. As always, we encourage you to travel to Israel with us on a volunteer working mission. We continue to sell out these missions and have just extended these missions once again, now through February of next year. Visit jnf.org/volunteer-il to learn more and to register. If you've not registered, take a moment to sign up for our global conference for Israel, happening in Dallas, Texas, November 14th through 17th. Join over 1,200 people who have registered already for the largest Zionist gathering in the United States. We'll see you next Wednesday, July 31st at the same time. I'm Israel Chai.